I was scrolling through Instagram about to get ready for bed when I stumbled upon Jake the Plant Guy's Instagram, where I'm sure, I don't know how I missed the page for so long. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen him. He does moss pulls out of this like chicken wire, animal protective, I don't know what it's called. He uses this to make some really awesome moss pulls for plants, and I have been wanting to get into moss pulls. My thing with moss pulls, I really want to like them. I've just had a lot of issues with them in the past. I'm not gonna get into those issues, but I do think that these moss pulls are going to work really well for me and what I'm wanting for moss pulls, if that makes sense. So anyway, I'm gonna cut this. Okay, owie. This is painful. I should not be doing this right now because my hands are beat. They actually don't look that bad on camera, but they are so cut up. I'm like bleeding and bruised and swollen and sore because I am currently building out my IKEA cabinet. Rookie move, I did not wear gloves and I'm paying the price right now. That's how much I've been wanting to do like plant stuff lately. I don't know, I've been feeling so motivated. My channel's kind of been in the shitter, like, and I totally don't blame people for not wanting to watch because all of my content was forced. I really didn't want to do anything with my plants. And I think that was pretty clear. Like, I totally don't blame people for not watching. Okay, really quick, I'm gonna put a bunch of moss into the chicken wire. I'm just gonna call it chicken wire. It's not really chicken wire. It's some animal, I don't know, whatever it is, this stuff, our moss pool material. I'm just going to put it like 2/3 of the, well, maybe a little more than 2/3 of the way, like that. I've been feeling really motivated and inspired and like ready to get back into my plants and make my house a plant home. The last, honestly, 3 years with my kids, it's been really hard for me to take care of my plants. And it's not that I haven't loved them. I just haven't been in a good place mentally. I mean, but I'm back. Rai is actually a year old now, so I'm no longer breastfeeding. For me and my mental health, that is just what I needed. I'm in a much better place. Now that I've stopped breastfeeding him, and I have so much more time to devote to my hobbies and my passions, which is plants. Like, truly, it is plants, and it always will be plants. It's like beside the point of this video. I just wanted to apologize for how my channel has been lately and just let you know that I'm back, but I also appreciate those of you that have stuck around. Now I have these zip ties. I'm just gonna roll the wire like tightly. It's hard because my hands hurt. Rolling the wire around the moss, and then I'm going to zip tie it. Okay, on his little reels on Instagram that I was watching, he makes it look so easy rolling this stuff, and maybe the stuff he uses is a little bit different. This is pretty sturdy. Okay, I'm just gonna start up here. Take it slow. And then I'm gonna zip tie it. I wonder if I could just zip tie it and then put the moss in. That would be so much easier. Owie, owie, owie. It's stabbing me. Ugh. Oh my gosh, I'm not very good at this. Okay, he literally makes it look so easy. Not that it's not easy. I am feeling a little weak. Ow, in the phalanges at the moment. You just curl. You just stay curled, please, and that might help. Whatever, I'm gonna sacrifice my pants. Why is it not tightening? Oh my God. Why is it not tightening? Am I stupid? Am I stupid, you guys? Is there a way to make this easier? Oh yeah, by the way, I don't know if it was clear. This is not a tutorial. Let's try this again. This is using all of my strength, like actually all of it. And then now I think I'm gonna try and, I got that on, I'm gonna try and do one down here so that it stays lined up, because that's kind of the issue I'm having. It's not like lining up right. What is going on? Is my wire uneven? Is that a thing? Repeat that a million more times. Oh no, maybe I don't like moss poles. This is not hard. I just am weak. I'm just gonna do it like every few squares. And okay, honestly, this is cool because it's using stuff I already had. I literally have all this stuff already. And I love sphagnum moss. An issue I've had with other types of moss poles, like something I haven't really loved about moss poles is I feel like the moss gets everywhere, but this chicken wire stuff is gonna keep the moss contained, and like if I get the moss wet, all the pieces aren't gonna fall out, which is something I'm really attracted to in a moss pole, I think. One of the big reasons I'm like so motivated right now and wanting to like put moss poles on my plants and all that is my plants have just been in like survival mode the last little while because I've literally done like the bare minimum to keep them alive and kind of growing. But now I'm like, okay, they've stayed alive these 3 years. They deserve to really take off. So I'm gonna kind of start fresh with a whole bunch of them. And I'll be keeping like my other ones too. Okay, owie. I just stabbed underneath my nail. That is like a form of torture. I'm pretty sure, like actually though. Wow, this is actually fun once I got it started. Oh my gosh, I'm almost done. That was so easy. What plant should I put on it? I think I'm gonna start, ooh, do I wanna start with my Philodendron Brantianum? I think so. Oh, I forgot to, dang it. Okay, so really quick, before I cut all these, I'm going to mix some soil. Put all this moss that kind of fell out into my soil mix. And I'm gonna do it in this bucket. Here I have some cocoa husk that I meant to, I have water over here somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? I'm just gonna pour it out of this plant. Some cocoa husk that I meant to be hydrating while I was doing that. And then I just totally spaced because I was so excited. I don't know, I was just so pumped to get going on that. I'm gonna let this soak up that, hopefully it will. That's just gonna be over here, absorbing. Okay, now back to the moss pole. Now we're gonna take our little nippers and cut off these long parts of the zip ties. Hope these zip ties are gonna hold. They're looking a little weak. Hopefully I get better at this because this is not the best looking moss pole I've ever seen. And in fact, it is very crappy looking. Jake would not be pleased. I don't know the guy. I'm just a stan, I guess. I must be because I just found his page and I'm like already here attempting to make a moss pole. And this is something I've never tried to do before. You guys, it's gonna work, I think. I really need the soil for the next step. Ooh, it really should soak. It's a good rule of thumb to let like cocoa husk soak before you add it to like your soil mix if it's something you like to use as an additive. So into my soil mix, this is super last minute, so I don't have all the stuff I usually would use. So I'm adding pumice. Perlite, and a bunch of worm castings. And that's my mix because that's all I have. What plant do I want to do? I think I'm going to do the Philodendron Brantianum. I'm gonna put it in this with a cover pot. I'm gonna add a little sphagnum moss to the bottom to cover the hole. I filled it up with moss to where, like, to the level of the pot. And now I'm gonna put the potting mix inside. This is what Jake does. If it's good enough for Jake, it's good enough for me. You put the potting mix at the bottom to the same height that your planter is, and I pulled the sphagnum moss out of there. So I need to cover it again. And then you're gonna put it in the middle and fill in around it. Well, a little bit around it, not all the way up to the rim, just enough that you can like pot your cuttings in and there will be space to do that. I am so excited. I kind of think I want to do my Monstera celtipicana. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these. Hang on, I gotta go help my kid. Okay, anyway, it's the middle of the night. My kid still decided to wake up, so he is awake right now. So you may be able to hear him in the background. I did my best to get him to sleep, but I can't force him. I can't make his eyes close and that mouth stop talking, you know? So you may be able to hear him anyway. I am now going to take my cuttings, and I'm just gonna use the wire cutters to do this. Cut where there are already roots. And then pull those out. Well, I'm hoping there will be roots. Oh yeah. Whoops. Well, so that there will be a little bit of root. And all the cuttings are gonna be like that on this plant. And it may look like I'm taking the whole plant out of this pot, but I'm actually not. It has a lot of nodes in here, so it'll just start producing growth a little bit further down on a different node, which is awesome. So I can keep this plant growing so that I'm able to propagate it here and there for, you know, little things like this. I'm really hoping this will work out and be like worth the effort, because that really hurt my hands. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top cuts that I'm gonna plant up in here. Now I'm just going to pot them up on one side. So I want this side to be the front, since it's the side that doesn't have the pokies from the wire like tips. Just gonna kind of set them in there like that for now, and then I'll fill them in a little bit better. Oh, I'm so excited. I think this is going to be really, really worth it. I do. I think it's gonna look so cute. And okay, right away it might not. It might be like, why the heck is there that such a large moss pole for such a small plant? But one day, you guys, it'll all make sense. Backfill it a little bit. I should have brought up a little container. Ew, whale, we'll just use my hands. Now I'm gonna fill in a little bit in the front of each cut to help hold it in place. And then I'm gonna add a little bit to the side of each cut as well. The back of each cut, I guess. No, I'm just gonna add it to the front, because I do actually want it to be shimmied up against the pole so that it will continue, it'll like grab onto the moss in there and climb up it. So I am just adding soil all around so that they sit upright, pretty against the pole, but I'm not like pushing them so hard against the pole, just enough that they're gonna stay there, I guess. This is so fun. You guys, this is gonna turn out. It's gonna look so good. And then of course fill in the back too. I will also be putting this inside of a cover pot. So I need to find one that's gonna fit so that I can just add water to the cover pot, or I can take this into the shower and then put it back into the cover pot so I don't have to wait forever for it to dry, you know, so it won't make like a mess. I'm feeling so happy. Okay, am I gonna put it in this one? Is it gonna fit in this one actually? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, and I will keep you updated on this. I'm gonna make some more though. Wow, I'm gonna make another one. There we have it. I already know the plant is gonna freaking love that. I know it. This is cool, this is fun. It feels so good to feel inspired, or like I have the energy, I want to do this, you know, like I don't have to do this. I literally could just be going to sleep in bed right now, but I'm choosing to do this because I love my plants and I feel like I have it in me to do this, if that makes sense. Wow, what do I want to do next? I think I'm going to do my philodendron brantiana because it's just growing really awkwardly, and I'm going to put it in this white cover pot with this planter pot. So I'm going to try and make this moss pole like a little bit smaller. I'm going to actually cut off another couple of squares, and I'm going to try and cut it to where the pokey ends won't be like in my way. I think either way I'm going to end up getting stabbed, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not gonna cut all the way. Well, it's not gonna cut flush with that, unfortunately. Oh well, it's worth a shot, I guess. We'll see if it helps at all. And it might make it a little easier to put the zip ties on, I'm hoping. Here's hoping. I'm going to put these like behind my couch on the windowsill where I currently don't have any plants. So it's really like, especially once they grow in, okay, they're gonna get north light. They are gonna grow in so cute and just make it feel so much more jungly in here. Honestly, I don't know if cutting it like this is worth it. This is taking way too long. My patience just cannot handle this. This time I'm gonna try and roll it up beforehand so that it's a little bit easier to put the zip ties on, because that was a real struggle, and this one's even smaller, so I feel like it's going to be also a struggle. I'm gonna put some moss in there. I'm running low on moss, so this might be I think I can do one more after this, and then I'm gonna have to order a whole bunch for my cabinet because this was the moss I was using for that. And I honestly usually have a back stock of moss because I use it so often. It's just not something I like to run out of. I have not thought about getting moss because, like I said, I was just kind of doing the bare minimum with my plants. Wasn't too worried about keeping everything in stock in case I just wanted to do something. And in stock, I mean in stock in my own house. I don't like sell it or anything. I think that's enough moss. I'm gonna try and put these things on now. Maybe I'll start at this end. I think that might be a little easier since there's no moss there. Oh no, those are all the ones I cut. I was thinking my zip ties were broken or something. Now at the top here, and now every other one. Well, every few, I guess. I love this. I like really, really love this. And I hope that my plants will grow as well as, I keep talking about him. Dude doesn't even know I exist, but as Jake's plants because they are beautiful. Like honestly, some of the most beautiful plants I think I've seen. And I know the moss pole doesn't, I am well aware the moss pole isn't like the end all be all as far as plants go. Of course, like the nutrients, the light, the humidity, the watering, all of that like plays just as big of a role, if not a bigger role even. But I do think that without a moss pole, plants aren't super capable of growing the big leaves. Like they kind of have to climb onto things to get those big leaves. So where a plant can still be healthy and beautiful, I just don't think they're as likely to get big without a moss pole. I don't know if that's like correct or not. There we have it. So, okay, actually, no, not there we have it, because I have to cut these. Fill the moss pole up with some of the substrate I'm using, which, to be super redundant, is cocoa husk, worm castings, perlite, and pumice, because that, again, is all I had. But, oh, and there's a little bit of sphagnum moss in here, but not too much, just what I've been like cleaning up off the floor. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the pot, almost right in the middle. I'm gonna add a little bit of substrate to the bottom to help hold the pot in place while I am trying to plant the little cuttings. And these are definitely going to be a lot less impressive cuttings. So here's what we have. There's just enough space at the top for me to put the cuttings and then backfill them a little bit. Now I've got to take the actual physical cuttings. This plant is, I don't know, it's something. Okay, there are all of those. Oh. And I guess I'm gonna be able to fill them up a little bit, fill it up a little bit more, and then just like push them in because they do not have very much root growth. Oof. I don't know if this is gonna work. This one's definitely not going to be as pretty as that other one. But oh well, you know what? It's gonna fill in and be magical. I feel it in my bones. And then if it's not, oh well, it was worth the shot. There is that one. I'm gonna fill it up a little bit more, I think. Oh no, I didn't plant them centered. Actually, I'm just gonna move this one over here so that the weird seam is in the back. And then I'm just gonna, again, fill it in enough that the plants are like shimmied up against the pole so that once there's new growth, since these are just node cuts, it will hopefully cling on to the pole. Oh my gosh, okay, that actually does not look that bad for how bad the cuttings looked. Don't you think? Ah! Okay, it's leaning. This one's a little top heavy. And it will just be living in this cover pot. You guys, I think this is my last one for today so I don't use up all of my moss in case I need it for something. It looks so good. I am so happy with this. I'm so glad I just decided to do this. Normally I'm like, I really want to do that, but I just never get around to things. You know what? Lately I've just been doing it and I did it just now. What do you think? What do you think of these moss poles? Any of you guys that have used moss poles before, what has been your experience with them? Have you tried this kind? I don't know, anything I should know? I will say I did recently buy a pressure sprayer. You like pump it And then you just hold a button and it sprays. And I do think this is going to be a lot easier to wet the moss poles. An issue I had for all the moss poles I've tried in the past has been, it's been such a pain in the butt to wet the poles, because where there isn't the wire, where it's just like usually wrapped with like fishing line, I think are all the ones I've bought before. The moss falls off when it dries, and then it's just a pain in the ass to get moistened again. But I do think that this fence stuff, this chicken wire, is really going to help contain that and stop it from being so messy. I'm really hoping. That is it for this video. This was very, very incredibly spur of the moment. Like I said, it's like midnight. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Again, let me know what you think. I will definitely be making more of these. I'll show you updates on these as they grow in. I will see you in my next one. Bye.